what I'm seeing is the fact that, number one, you know what you're talking about, especially with, helping us with our insurance policy, not insurance, health insurance. I don't know why I'm getting it too twisted. Um, you helped us with our policies. You definitely educated us on it, and that's what we need. Because I know with at first with PPOs, I was like, oh, I don't know if we want to deal with anything like that because we wasn't educated on it. And that's the difference between the fact that, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're not an agent, you're a broker. Am I correct, Mike?
Correct. That means what a broker means when you speak insurance, and David's broker as well, is that it means that you have an IMO, which allows you to write for multiple companies. You have access to more information. I specifically have access to 95% of all plans available, which means I can shop the public options. I can shop the private options. I can look at the short-term plans, whatever it is that's going to fit your need. And this is another thing to understand. All insurance is customizable. Across the board, doesn't matter the company, doesn't matter who you go with, doesn't matter your agent, it's all customizable. So when you're on the phone and you feel like, hey, I'm not talking to an agent, I just called Geico. Okay, you called this Geico person and Geico says, hey, we got you to talk to our person that, our licensed agent that handles your car claims, right? Your car insurance. And they're not a processor, they're not an adjuster. They're trying to sell you better insurance, right? It's like, hey, your plan's not really covering much. Your PIP is too low, your excess medical is too low, whatever it's going to be. I'm just giving you a random example, right? Each time that you say, they're going to ask you a question. Hey, do you need this or this, right? I.e., do you need dental? Do you need vision? From a life insurance perspective, are we looking for the accelerated benefit? Or do you care about your assisted living facility costs? Or do you want something to cover if a non-life threatening illness happens, right? Do you have your long-term care riders, right? These are known as riders. Each of those riders changes how the insurance works for the better for you as the client. So each time that you're talking, you say, hey, I want to add dental. That's going to add more money to how much you're paying in premium because it's giving you more benefits. So when we see reviews online, and we have to understand is that one, it's going to be a microcosm, not the whole, right? Even if every single one is terrible, which they're probably going to be, because with every insurance company, nobody's like, hey, guess what? I love my insurance company. That's the last thing that they're thinking about. They're just thankful this works, okay? Because oftentimes they didn't understand what they bought in the first place. They didn't come to Trucking in Business. They didn't have a chance to connect with David. They didn't have a chance to connect with myself. They just bought something because somebody on TV said, hey, I can get it for you for $50 a month. And then somebody else called them and said, I can get it to you for 45. They're like, 45 sounds good, let's buy it. And they've done no research. They've talked to nobody. When you talk to an actual person that's actually been in the industry and actually knows what they're doing, they're going to guide you differently than somebody that has not been, right? So that hopefully ties into what you're answering. Go ahead.
Man. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
No, go ahead, David. I just have a question. I'm just going to flip it a little bit, but go ahead, David. Go on and respond to what you have to say.
I was going to say, Mike is spot on with what he's saying, about the customizable option of these insurance plans, even in life insurance, same thing, right? And so I think the variation and what people don't quite understand is that, like, for example, I think the plans that, I usually offer my clients are awesome. They're some of the best plans out there. But here's the truth. Any broker can write these plans. However, just because a broker may have access to the same plans that I have access to, their knowledge base in terms of how they explain it, how they write it, how they perform the illustration, how they explain these things might be different. And so when you are shopping for a life insurance plan and even a health insurance plan, what, I believe the best goal ought to be is to find somebody who can explain this in such a way where you fully comprehend what you are doing, and knows how to get you the best deal for your dollar, right? And so what I've seen a lot of life insurance agents, And I've met with clients, and I'll tell them about what I got. And one of the first things they do is they run to their life insurance agent, and they say, "Why didn't you tell me about what this guy, just told me about?" Well, it's not that that agent doesn't have access to what I have access to. The difference might be how well they've educated, prepared themselves, or even how they see the business in terms of the products of life insurance and what it's used for. That's the difference. But, when it comes to the customizable option, whatever you want, if your dollar can buy it, I can almost assure you I can find you just about everything that you want, from what you're looking for. The question is, can you afford it? Number one. Number two, the question is, do you know what you want? Do you know what you need? And, are you going to be forthcoming with those goals so that I can customize the right plan for you? See, what's interesting about people is that they either know what they want but can't afford it, or they can't afford it but don't know what they want. And either combination of the two or mismatching of the two is going to lead to unhappy consumers if you don't get a firm handle on what you can afford, what you want, and then third and finally, the person that you're dealing with, are they qualified to give you what you want? Right. And so, I'm not trying to talk about anybody in anybody's business, but the truth is that for the things that most business-minded people need, they're not usually able to find that in the bag of tricks of the guy that's knocking on the door trying to sell you a life insurance policy, right? Or whatever the case may be. So it just takes a firm knowledge of knowing what you want, what you can afford, and then who am I dealing with, and do they have the capability of providing for me what I need? And so that's my rant, my third rant for the day.
We're not going to hold y'all much longer, but it's something that you said, Mike, and I don't know how much on your side, David, you use it. You talk about the MIB, and number one, could you go in more detail what the MIB is, who regulates that MIB, and why do y'all use the MIB? Because I tell you, this thing, this MIB, to me, it's all new. So I mean, you put it like it's like a medical credit agency, something like that. But can you go into more detail about that and the importance of it, and how, if it's anything on that MIB, can it be changed? And what do you need to do in order to change it?
Well, that's a series of questions. I'll handle the first half. And
the MIB got me right now, man. I tell you,
I see. I'll handle the first half of those questions, and I'll have David handle the second half of those questions. So what is the MIB? The MIB is the Medical Information Bureau. It's the thing that all insurance companies use to assess your health, right? Think of it almost like a health credit check, right? Where they want to see the blips up there, the issues up there. This is, so every time that you've gone to a doctor, right? And you've filled out paperwork, right? At the front, and you said, hey, I went to see the doctor. That paperwork has a trail. That trail ends up at the MIB. That's why all the insurance companies use the MIB, because it's the end of that trail. So each time that you've gone to the doctor, each time that you went, and then the doctor took notes about what you did and you went there, you asked him questions, right? He's going to jot down the questions that you asked him. He's going to put down what issues you were having. Then let's say that you had testing, right? The testing is therefore going to be indicative of what's going to show up. Because now you have your diagnostic testing, you have your lab work, right? And you have the proof behind the notes that the doctor has taken based upon a question or a symptom that you had. So it's all of the paperwork trail leads you to the MIB. That's why all insurance companies use the MIB to make sure that everything is aligned with what it is that they need. Now, these are the issues with the random issues that come up. Sometimes people have the same names. There's people all over the country that have the same names. So sometimes the MIB information may be incorrect because they may have seen somebody else's MIB information. That's when there's an appeals process that's done from an insurance perspective to prove that, no, I'm not the one that had diabetes. I'm the one that had, hand, foot, mouth disease. I'm not the one that had cancer. No, I'm the one that came in for a slight cough. There's multiples of the same types of names, unless you have one of those crazy, crazy unique names, right? Then it's highly unlikely. But if you don't have one of those crazy unique names, then potentially that could be an issue with the MIB. Now, on the insurance company, that's why they're going to ask you to do things like blood urine analysis, like colonoscopies, like colorectal exams, all these other things to prove that the MIB was either correct or incorrect. If they're asking you to do these things, it's because they see something that's on that MIB that they're trying to find the trail so they can know whether or not this is a valid claim or not. Because on their end, they're trying to generate insurability. So it's all about risk management. They have to understand the risk fully before they can manage said risk or accept the responsibility of said risk. It's a contract between you and the insurance company. Now, mind you, what a lot of people don't know, random note for the room, it's a month-to-month contract. All insurance is customizable and all insurance is month-to-month. You want to not have insurance? Don't pay your bill for 2 months. Guess what? You won't have coverage. And then this is going to be your issue. You're going to think that you have coverage. You haven't paid your bill. It hasn't come out. You haven't seen it come out. You know that it would come out, right? But it hasn't come out. And you're like, oh, no, I'm good. Insurance is fine. And then something comes up. And then now you want the insurance company to take on the risk and the responsibility for something that you haven't paid them to do. That becomes the issue. I'll pass it to you, David.
Yeah, awesome explanation, Mike. So additionally, from a life insurance perspective, usually with most A++ rated companies, and particularly for very specific kinds of policies, when you go through the application process, they're going to want to know, do you have a primary care physician? What's his or her name? What's their address? On most of the applications, they're going to want to know that, right? And they will not let me proceed until you answer those questions. Then they're going to want to know, do you take any medication? And if you do, I got to list what those medications are and what the doses are. Then they're going to want to know, has the doctor prescribed you any treatment that you did not complete? Right? So did the doctor tell you you need a colonoscopy? Did you go get the colonoscopy? Whatever it was, they want to know, what did the doctor tell you to do that you did not do? And those are the questions that they're going to ask. Why are they asking those questions? Well, for the life insurance company, it isn't so much about whether you have this health issue as it is about whether you are managing. You're right, Mike, unless it's guaranteed issue. But this is about whether you are managing your health issues, right? So if you got high blood pressure, are you taking your medication, right? How high is it? What are your numbers? If you got diabetes, is it managed? Are you taking medication? What are your numbers with diabetes or, cancer or whatever the issue is? They want to know, are you managing those issues? So one of the things that I often tell, folks when I talk about getting through underwriting is that getting through underwriting is best done and it's best started long before we write the policy, right? And so one of the things that most people do not do is that they don't go to the doctor and request to see their medical chart. You want to know what is being placed in your medical chart. So I had a client, for example, that his doctor ordered a sleep study for him. He went and did the sleep study. They told him that he was fine. He left. He never thought anything about it until we wrote a policy on I went through all of those series of questions that we asked. He never mentioned the fact that he had sleep apnea, none of that, you know. And then when they did the MIB to get his medical record, they found out that he was diagnosed with sleep apnea. And then so they wanted to know what was the remedy. Do you have a CPAP machine? Blah, 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 blah. And he was saying, well, wait a minute, I didn't know anything about this sleep apnea, you know. So what it did was, you know, we had to go through this whole entire process of hunting down his doctor, you know, having this removed from his medical record, all of that stuff, so that he could get the best rating for his insurance product, right? And so it wasn't that they were going to deny him, but they were going to reduce him from a table A rating to a table B rating, which would then reduce the amount of riders that he could have on his policy. And so one of the things that I encourage all of my folks to do is to check your medical records routinely, question your doctors, and make sure that there's nothing on that medical record that, you know, you don't know nothing about, yada, yada, yada. Make sure you're getting the correct treatment for what's on that medical record, because that will affect the kind of ratings you get from the insurance companies, and it may affect you being able to get insurance altogether. Mike, is on you.
I would like to interject because David brought up some information that was rolling around through my head. How often, I know you said routinely, because I never thought of the fact that what your doctor could be putting on your record, accurately or inaccurately, could affect your premiums based on your life insurance, your health insurance. I didn't realize that, you know, it's kind of like your credit report. You often, you know, they tell you you should check it once a year. How often should you check your medical record? But I'll leave it at that one, because wow.
Can I add something to that? And who do you talk to go back? Like, because let's say, for example, you have switched doctors. You don't have the same doctor, but you switch doctors, and you've been with this doctor, say, for 2 years, and you haven't, you know. So how far do they go back? You know, I mean, and how can we change that?
Yeah, so you have the right to request your medical records at any time from any former or current provider. You have the option to request that. So with my doctor, there is an app that we have, and your doctor's office may provide it or may not, but they update my medical records inside of the app. So I check it after every doctor's visit that we have. And I often request, if I go see a specialist, that they send those records to the primary care physician, or to my primary care physician. So you have the option to request that as often as you want. If you don't have the app, it may take that doctor's office, you know, some time to get those records together and print them off and give them to you. But you have the option to do that as often as you choose. And so after every doctor's visit, after, you know, or every other doctor's visit, or whatever is most comfortable for you, I check my medical record, because I want to know what are they putting on there to address my issues. And so it's just up to you and what is most convenient for you. Mike, you got anything to add on that one?
Yeah. No, that's accurate information. It's accurate information. You can request those records whenever you like. So what I wanted to talk about is that sometimes there's coding issues. So there's people known as medical billers or medical coders, right? And these people are paid money to determine what your condition was based upon what the doctor's notes were. I used to be a national claims adjuster for Blue Cross Blue Shield. This was about 15 years ago. Coming straight out of college before graduate school. And that was my job. So somebody would process the claim, right? And they would say, hey, this is what happened. And I was the person that had to fix the issue that happened. And I did this on a national level. It's known as the blue card level in Blue Cross Blue Shield. I thought I was going to take a career with them. Turns out I liked being an entrepreneur. So here we are, right? But so there are billers, there are coders, and these people are paid, some of them make good money, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, whatever it's going to be. But their entire job is to make sure that the notes are matching up with the code so they can be billed directly to the insurance company. Then it's the insurance company, the adjuster's job is to fix it if the code is not correct. Because if the code is not correct, it's not going to be billed appropriately. And it's going to show up on your medical history as something that you didn't have. I'll give you an example. I have a client that is getting a bill for a colonoscopy that he didn't have. It's because the medical biller put the wrong code on a service that he had done that indicated colonoscopy. It could have been something as simple as code 205 versus code 206. That's simple. That's not an exact number. I'm just giving you an example of how simple it can be. It could be code 205 versus code 206. Code 206 is checkup. Code 205 is colonoscopy. Code 205 has a $3,000 bill. Code 206 has a $50 bill. It could literally be that simple. And that's why checking your medical records is so important.
This is great information. This is truly great information. Man, where I guess the question that I have next is, of course, we know that people can come to you guys because you are experts in your field. But where can someone start to start learning information to educate themselves on finding out about, because like I said, this is information that is just priceless, checking your medical records each time you go to the doctors, or, how often you feel that you need to check them. But, and also knowing that basically there's kind of like a report card, so to say, on you with the MIB that could be accurate or inaccurate. So, wow. Of course, let us know, you guys, where people can find you, schedule a consultation, or, if they need, health and life insurance, how can they find you? But first, I guess the question is, how can people start educating themselves on this? Because I know I didn't know, because anytime we had to look for health insurance, it's like, oh goodness, I have to do this again. I don't know what I'm looking at. It was just, it was painful for me to go and look for this information. So
let me say this, and I might be in the minority here with my views, but I think the place that people need to go is to the professionals who do this. And there's a very specific reason why I say that. I'm a pastor by trade. And, I think in recent years, there have been a lot of Google theologians, right? And they Google something and then they think that they're now an expert because they read something on Google. Or even, the new idea of, I never even heard of critical race theory until recently, right? And then, I was telling somebody that, and they said, well, you shouldn't have ever heard of critical race theory. That is a very specialized theory that exists within a context of specifically and strategically educated people that talk that kind of jargon, right? And so, but now all of a sudden, if you Google it, you're able to read a bunch of stuff online that may or may not be true or may not tell the whole story. And so the professionals, myself, Mike, and others who had to get licenses for this stuff, had to go through hours of study and continuing education and just the experiential knowledge of these kind of scenarios, have the unique ability of giving very nuanced understanding of these conversations that can be very unique to the person that we're dealing with. And so to that point and to that statement, the best place to go are the professionals. And so if there's any research that I would encourage a person to do, it's the research of the professional that you're talking to determine if they have the skill set to help you to the level that you need the help with. But if you try to relegate this level of understanding to the internet, then you have to sift through pages and pages of information without the ability to determine what's true, what's not true, what is unique to their situation, what's not unique, what's being said, what's not being said. And so I think the best advice I can give is to find a professional who knows what they're talking about and go to them and trust them to handle the process and to lead you in the right way.
And then on my end, to that point, that's absolutely correct, David. Absolutely correct. To that point as well, is actually utilize the insurance to see how it works. Don't just base your experience off of the opinions of others that haven't been in your shoes, don't have your same situations. Again, if we start with the premise first, that all insurance is customizable, right? And we're understanding the nuances in regards to the layers of the insurance and how nitty gritty it gets. And we're only touching the surface. We haven't even delved into, like level 9 of insurance, where this is like insurance, like we're not on 101 right now, but we're on like 103, right? Me and David's been in the industry, 10 years, David? What you said? 3 years. All right. But he's been in the industry 3 years, every day doing this job, every day managing it. Right. So if there's 365 days in a year, right, and he's done this for 365 times 3, he has over 1,000 days specifically of experience, which means every single day he's dealt with something different and nuance based upon his experience and his path. Right. Then you, who may have no experience, never done this before in your life, doesn't know the difference between a deductible and a copay, right? Says, you know what? I'm gonna do my research. Okay, fantastic. Let's see this research, right? Good luck. Fantastic. And then you do this research and the research comes back negative. And the research says, oh no, run away from this company. But you've talked to David and David has shown you in writing that it made sense for you. David has given you proof. He's shown you people that have used the experience. He's got testimonials, or better yet, he's on the health insurance side and showed you EOBs. An EOB is probably the most important thing you can do with the health insurance. It stands for an explanation of benefits. It tells you how the insurance worked for other people that had the plan. Bar the reviews, mind you, these reviews and online things are done by people that are not professionals, that do not speak for the industry, that do not understand the industry, do not understand any of the nuances of the industry. They have no idea about underwriting, no idea about copays, no idea about co-insurance, no idea about any of the aspects that you speak on a daily basis. And then this person has said, oh, this is crap, don't do it. And you, as a consumer, instead of listening to David, who has 1,000 days worth of compound experience in his space, are instead like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to Johnny. Is Johnny a licensed agent? No. Question, did you and Johnny have the same medical history? Well, no. Did you talk to Johnny? No. Is Johnny 6 foot and 900 pounds? I don't know. Is Johnny 5 foot and 400 pounds? I don't know. Does Johnny have diabetes and got diagnosed the day before he applied for the insurance and it showed up on his medical information bureau subsequently after applying for the insurance, so therefore his benefits related towards diabetes were not covered? Well, guess what? I don't know. Did Donnie do something he wasn't supposed to do? Like say, hey, I don't have sleep apnea, knowing darn well that he had sleep apnea. Just a thought. We don't know anything about Johnny. All we know is that Johnny said no. And then guess what? Well, Johnny said no, and then Susan said no. Again, let's look at the microcosm. Hypothetically, let's say you look at an insurance company. Let's say you look at a huge company, right? Let's say you look at United Healthcare, Cigna, Humana, name a company. You look at them, right? You're going to see lists and pages of negative reviews. Let me put this into perspective. You'll go to a page, say I set you up with a health-based option, right? It's PPO coverage, fantastic plan. Works the way that I told you that it works because it's in writing. And I can't lie, because it's in writing. Literally, I would violate my fiduciary responsibility and lose my license if I sent you something in writing that wasn't applicable to what it was, right? Is this correct, David? Can you attest that I'm correct in this? Okay, so I would lose my license if that happened.
Yeah.
You are instead going to listen to Johnny, Susie, Bob, Billy, all of them. And let's say you have 500 of these complaints, 500 in a row. You're like, man, this is exhausting research. Look at all this evidence that you're terrible. And then you go back and you talk to David. You say, David, why would you put me with this company that has 500 terrible reviews? And you're like, David's like, well, because the company had 33 million clients, and 500 out of 33 million is less than 1% of 1%. So I figured that since AM Best, the company that's in charge of all the ratings for the country, indicated that this was an A or higher rated company, that it was an excellent category with its ability to process, pay claims, and its financial responsibility, that me as an expert, looking at all the facts, comparing line by line comparisons, made the best decision that made sense for you in your situation. Does that mean that Johnny, Susie, Billy, and Bobby and all of them were incorrect? No. But if insurance is customizable, that agent that dealt with Bobby, Billy, Susie, and Johnny probably wasn't the same person. And he probably built it entirely differently based upon their needs, which means that that review is immediately asinine. The only review that matters, I'm gonna keep preaching this, is AM Best. If an agent says otherwise, they're not an agent. I promise you that. I promise you that. It's part of our 215 curriculum to learn about AM Best. When we do our CEs, which are credit so we can continue to have our license, they again reinforce AM Best, because these are the creditors, these are the insurers, these are the people that can do the rating. You remember he was talking about A rating, B rating, C rating? They do that same rating for the insurance companies. So where you can reach me at is healthunicornmike.com. You can connect with me on Clubhouse. Check out my bio. Love to help you. Licensed in 33 different states. Been in the industry for 9 years. So he has 1,000 days of compound insurance experience. I don't even want to do the math, how many days of compound insurance experience I have, but it's somewhere along the lines of 43,067 days in a row of doing insurance and doing it in different aspects at different levels. If you need help, let me know. I'm happy to be part of the conversation. I specialize in benefits for entrepreneurs, those that are self-employed, their families. I've helped thousands of people. Feel free to check out my website. If you want to learn something about health insurance, check out my website. I have videos, I have content. It's all will give you more information about health insurance than you could probably find any other place. And tap in with me. I'd love to be a part of the conversation. I'll be completely transparent, just like I am now, just like I am in any interaction, because that's how I operate as a man. So check me out. Let me know. And either way, I thank you guys for having me today. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys learned something. Health Unicorn Mike out, your friend with benefit options. Pass it to you, David.
Appreciate you, Mike. Wonderful conversation. Appreciate you, Robert and Sharon, for the opportunity to just come and share. You can reach me at investyourwaytofreedom.com. You can call or text me 903-949-8341. Reach me on Clubhouse, David Watkins, or just reach out to the Porters, and they certainly can get in contact with me. I'd love to help you. Again, I specialize in helping you get out of all of your debt in 9 years or less without you spending any more money than you're already spending, using a mutual dividend paying whole life insurance policy. And so hit me up. I love to show you what we can do together. Have a great day. Appreciate you.
Wow. Again, this is some really good information that was dropped today. I hope and I pray that the audience really get blessed by the information that was dropped today, because you don't hear this every day. Like I said, I would run from PPOs because it's like, I don't understand this. But the information that was given today truly can help business owners and entrepreneurs and all of that. Robert, was there anything that you wanted to add before we end this interview?
Yes, if you don't ask the right questions, you can never get the right answer. So you're going to have to put yourself in a position where you're going to have to learn how to ask the right questions so you can get the right answer. So this is why platforms like this can help restructure your mindset so you can ask the right questions. So now when I go to my health provider, when I go see them, now I know what I need to deal and know what I need to say to them. I say, hold it, wait a minute. You putting something on my record that's going to hinder me from me getting my life insurance or costing me more money down the line. So now I know this. So this is just priceless to me. And y'all guys, you just don't know how I really appreciate y'all too for what y'all do and how God is using y'all to move in the area that y'all moving in. Absolutely. It's just phenomenal. And so my hat's off to y'all guys both. And my blessings is over y'all guys, that y'all continue to do what y'all do. And so I'm gonna just end it there.
Yeah, so definitely we're going to drop their information in the description. Follow them, go on their websites, grab the information, schedule a consultation with them, because and I think, Mike, we actually, when we were interviewing you individually, I had said to you that based on a Stevie Wonder song, the things that you believe in,
the things that you believe that you don't understand.
If you don't understand
then you
things that you, good Lord, Stevie Wonder, superstition. But anyway,
the things that you believe in that you don't understand,
then you suffer. That's the words. Anyway.
Oh man.
Yeah, you suffer because you don't know. So with that being said, we say to you guys, be safe. This is Robert and Sharon from Trucking and Business.
Take care. Bye-bye.